Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Fiction in Real Life. I'm Julie Daines. I'm here with Heather Moore and Jennifer Moore. And since it is now, well, first let me say that we do have a giveaway this week, and it is the Happily Ever After from the Timeless Romance Anthologies. And it makes a great giveaway because we are talking today, since we're a little bit after Christmas, about some of the folklore and fairy tales associated with Christmas from a couple different places around the world. So I guess we'll just dive right in, and we'll start with Heather's story.
So this story really captured my attention because I am an animal lover, more specifically cats, and I do love dogs, but a little bit in second place, even though I adore our golden retriever. So Iceland, this is about Iceland. So apparently Iceland has kind of a scary Christmas critter, and they call him the Yule Cat. And the Yule Cat is how parents and even bosses kind of threaten their workers or threaten their children. If you're not good, then this cat is going to come and punish you. And so, for instance, if you, I don't know, I think it was kind of compared to here in American, I don't know if they do in other countries, where we say you're going to get coal in your stockings, or Santa's not going to bring you any presents, Santa's watching you. So I guess in Iceland, it's this kind of mean looking, tough cat. And it also, anyway, so when I was Googling some pictures on this, so things get pretty intense. Like the cat actually can really injure and punish people. So it kind of puts the cat in a bad light, but maybe it's just this cat, not all cats. Anyway, so just take it for what you will. But I thought I'd never ever heard of it until we started talking about doing this episode. So I definitely learned something new, and I hope you did too.
Okay, Heather, would you book it?
Oh, I totally book it. I mean, I think a cat villain would be a great part of a book, any book. Usually when you read books, especially something like cozy mysteries, there's a pet involved, but they're usually a helpful, perky, fun, friendly pet. So it might be kind of fun to have a villain cat like in Cinderella.
Jen, how about you?
Yeah, I like it. And especially if I had a character, like a grandma from Iceland who was always saying, you guys better be good or the Yule Cat's going to get you or something. And that's kind of a charming little tradition. Also kind of really scary, but really cute.
Yeah, I like it.
I think I would book it too, just for the main purpose of teaching the people that it's actually better to have a dog than a cat.
Lesson learned.
Right? Dogs don't do that. Also, the thing I kind of liked about this Yule Cat thing is that he kind of comes after people who are like lazy. Like I sort of wish I had this as a motivator for my kids back when they were in school and stuff. Do the dishes, or don't be lazy, or the Yule Cat's gonna get you.
So I just wanted to cut in for a second because I have a little grandson and he really likes Toy Story. And so once in a while when he's at our house, like we have it playing in the background or something. And the dog is a villain in Toy Story, and it's scary. And I realized that
my dog, yes.
Yeah, my kids had watched that when they were younger. And I'm like, no wonder why my kids didn't really like dogs until we actually got a dog and trained him. And he was a fun dog. He was a lab. And I thought, wow, there's a lot of kids that grew up being scared of dogs because of Toy Story. So it can really affect.
Was that in Toy Story 1? I don't remember the dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sid has a mean dog, but then Andy has a nice dog in Toy Story too. So maybe they tried to make up for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to tell the story of Hans von Trapp. I got the lights coming through the blinds. Anyway, Hans von Trapp. And this is a story from the Alsace region of France, like Upper France near Germany and Switzerland. So it turns out that this man, Hans Trapp, lived in the 1400s, and he was this rich, powerful, and merciless man. And he was feared by all the people of Alsace. So so he wanted more and more power. So, as all people did in the 1400s, he started doing things like devil worship and all that kind of stuff. So then he got excommunicated from the church by the Pope. And he banished Trap and so Trap had to flee into the mountains, and he had to like live in a hovel and, try and survive as best he could up in the mountains. But he continued to like just be upset and bothered about the way things had turned out. And so he dressed himself up as a scarecrow and sat on the side of the road and waited until a child walked past. And then he killed the child and took it home and cut it up into pieces to eat it. But right before he could eat it, Trap was killed by righteous lightning that came down from the sky and struck him. So, I guess lesson learned there. But the thing about this story is that even though I feel like parents must have been desperate, I don't know, maybe all parents still are desperate. And so we come up with these evil motivators for our children, fear-mongering people. Anyway, so there really was a man named Hans von Trotha who was a knight who lived in that region in the late 1400s. And he was kind of powerful and kind of grumpy. And he like had this war with the abbot of a local abbey. And he got so mad that he like dammed up the river and cut off the water supply to the abbey. And then the abbot went and, like took the dam down so that more, anyways, this huge feud. So still, once again, the Pope actually did get involved. And this guy, Hans von Trotha, wrote a letter to the Pope. I'm such a wonderful, righteous person. And then he enumerated all these horrible things that the Pope had done. And so anyway, once again, this man was excommunicated from the church by the Pope. But in the real life story, he didn't eat children. He just actually went on to live a nice, normal life. He didn't really even lose any of his power in the region. And when he died, he was reinstated. But anyway, they did have a legend. They did tell their kids again. They called him the Black Knight. And if you don't be good, the Black Knight's going to come along with Santa Claus and punish the children who aren't, good kids. So that's the story of Hans von Trapp, or whatever, Hans von Trotha. So, all right. Jennifer, would you book it?
I would not book it. I don't know if the devilly part or the scarecrow, who's scarier? That's terrifying. And it's such a, I don't know, like, that's the story parents told their kids to make him be good? Like this scarecrow is, or, he's going to come with Santa Claus, and it's way scarier than being on the naughty list. And
it's scarier than coal.
Yeah, scarier than coal. Kind of horrible. And don't you think, like, in the Middle Ages, there's lots of stories of kids getting eaten? They're really like,
there's like the whole Hansel and Gretel thing.
Yes, it's kind of a theme. I don't. And Gilderay, that that French serial killer guy, that was kind of a, I don't know. Tell your kids to, I don't know, very scary. I don't think I'd book it because it kind of just icks me out.
Yeah.
So yeah. How about you, Heather? Would you book it?
I would say no, because it's the 1400s, and I just don't want to write in the 1400s. I just feel like just too much sanitation issues and no bathing and diseases and weird rashes and just like no, I don't know. So I just feel like it'd be a very stressful story to write because I'd have to put in all that stuff. And then what they ate, like, ooh, yeah.
Maybe children were like a delicacy because the food was so gross. Maybe that's what.
All right. Well, honestly, I think it's something that I would be tempted to book. Obviously, no children would die in my story because I completely don't agree with that. And like you guys, I am always puzzled at the fear-mongering parenthood of these middle-aged people. I don't mind writing the Middle Ages. I've written it before. I've written 1200s, 1500s. But I think we do paint a prettier picture than probably what life was really like back then.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I don't know. I get a little fascinated by these Christmas legends of these horrible creatures. I don't know. It's just something that fascinates me. So anyway, we'll end on a happier note. Heather?
Oh, actually, it's
Jennifer, sorry.
Okay. And I'm just going to read it because the article's short and it was well written. Okay. The legend of Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus himself, began with the tale of the Greek bishop of Marina. I'm not quite sure how to say that town. A Roman town in Turkey in the late 3rd to the early 4th century. As one fantastical story goes, Bishop Nicholas once discovered that an innkeeper had murdered 3 children and cut their bodies into pieces, and yet Nicholas was still able to revive them. Along with the many good deeds of this zealous Christian in a time of heavy persecution, these tales cemented Nicholas's place as a saint, a protector of children, and a generous gift giver. If Santa Claus himself can revive the dead, though wait until you meet the fearsome anti-Santa Handstrap, the Christmas scarecrow. So that leads into Julie's story. So, yeah. So, and I guess that's like part of becoming a saint is you have to perform a miracle. So that must be the miracle is putting those kids back together before the evil innkeeper could, after he chopped them up into pieces.
Well, and it makes you wonder what was the real story, because obviously that's
Right.
the oral tradition handed down. But what was the real story? Like he must have healed someone. Or
maybe he saved some kids before.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like maybe they were Christian kids, and so they got persecuted for their Christianity at that time period. And so the bishop stepped in and saved them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know, there's, a lot of chopping up kids happening.
Right. So I'll go first because I think I figured it out. Here's the story. These people were Christian and they were traveling at the inn, and the innkeeper in the end took these Christian children because he was probably not Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And he was persecuting them. So he took these children and forced them to be his slaves at the inn, to like keep doing the work at the inn. And these children were suffering and having a hard life. And then the bishop came and saved them.
Yeah.
And then later they fell in love and got married with other people.
Maybe
it always has to end, with a happily ever after, right?
Yeah.
So that's the story. I would book it. Heather, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of iffy. Like, I think it'd be maybe cool as like maybe if I took like a religious historical angle. So it's actually like, the life story of Saint Nicholas, maybe not his whole life, but these kind of vignettes of his life. But it might be kind of interesting to kind of deep dive into all the legends, all the scholars, all the historians, like what they all thought, and then kind of piece together kind of the most well-respected path for him to take. It might be interesting to find out. And then how did his personality and his service to others lead to the St. Nicholas that we know today, Santa Claus? Because really that's just like worldwide now. So it's pretty amazing.
You would do a good job with that too, I feel like.
A historical approach.
Yeah. Jennifer,
I don't think I'm going to book all the more dying children and stuff, but I did love the idea that he was a generous gift giver. So that kind of thing can morph into, he's giving gifts to all the children and not just those, not just the 3 chopped up children. I mean, who has the time? You've got an inn to run. You know what I mean? Who has time to bother with all the kids and the
chopping up children? I don't know. Maybe children in those days were not very well, respected. And so
were they so badly behaved that they had to just be scared all the time? I don't know.
Just wild, and I don't know.
All good questions.
I doubt it.
Good questions. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for our post-Christmas folklore episode. Remember to comment if you want to be entered to win a copy of Happily Ever After, the anthology. And also please remember to send in any submissions that you might have, any stories that come to your mind of events in your life or your family history or whatever, to fictionirlauthors@gmail.com. And thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Fiction in
Real
Life.
Good job, guys.